Now last year I reviewed Konova's P1 motorized slider. Now if you're not familiar with what this is, it's basically a tool for anyone who's in the videography, YouTubers, bloggers, anyone that wants to get a professional shot and is kind of on a budget. So what this does, guys, you plug in your camera to it, your phone, your DSLR, set it up for the different shooting modes, and then you'll be amazed of how cool this is. Now the unit last year is really good, still use it from time to time, but one of the limitations is that the controller was connected via Ethernet cable, so you really need to be within 3 or 4 feet from the unit to control it. Now Konova has this new slider. This is the P1 S3 motorized slider. This is completely wireless. Download the app, connect it to your device, and then you have full control. So this video we're going to do a quick unboxing, set it up, see how it performs. Shout out to Konova for sending this unit out again for me to review. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's quickly go over some of the main features of this device. So of course this is carbon fiber, so the rods itself are going to make for a lighter device, so carry it around, especially if you have the smaller unit, you can take it on the go with you. As far as the size, this comes in 4 different sizes. You have a 60 centimeter, which is one I have today. 60 centimeters, roughly 23.6 inches. They also come in 80 centimeters, 100 centimeters, and 120. So depending on what you're doing, you might want to choose a different size. Color is going to be black with carbon fiber, just to help with the weight. But you also have a lot of different mounting points. So if you want to connect your DSLR, your action cam, your mobile device, you can go ahead and do so. The total weight of this unit is 2 kilos. Now, the different shooting modes, you're going to have inward panning, parallax, and outward panning, as well as your panoramic shot. And I'll go over how all of that works here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get out of the box. Now Konova always does a good job just giving you a nice carrying case for this, and this is no different for the latest model. So nice little carrying case, zip it up when you're all done and take it on the road with you. Now they also have another case inside, and this is going to have your accessories. So this includes your motor, and they also have some accessories which we'll go over here in a little bit. Now next you're going to have your user manual. Again, this is going to tell you everything you need to know about the unit, but also have a QR code where you can go ahead and download the app. I should mention that the app is available for iOS as well as Android. Now in the accessory bag, you're going to have your motor. This is the brains of the operation. Notice that the battery is connected right there at the top. You also have a power switch. You have the shutter control as well as a micro USB for your power. So we'll get into how that all works here in a little bit. You also have an adapter. So depending which slider you have, you might have to use this adapter. Here's your drive belt. We'll be installing this here in a little bit. Your micro USB cable. You also have a bag of accessories with the bolts that you'll need to connect this to the actual slider. Now the insulation and the belt insulation is straightforward as well. Construction is going to tell you everything you need to know. First you need to do is just connect the belt at one end. Once the belt's connected, you want to wrap it around the drive motor. So once it's wrapped around the drive motor, use the 2 screws to secure it to the slider. Lock it in place, then pull the other side and repeat it. Then you can go ahead and cut the belt. Good thing about Konova is that they sent enough length on this belt. That way you can cut it and then have a backup. So that's exactly what I did. I was able to install this one, and when I cut and measured, I did have enough. Just in case this belt goes bad, I do have a backup. So got it all put together. Let's go over some of the functionalities and then we'll get into the application. So one thing I didn't mention that these legs are going to be adjustable, guys. So you can adjust them all the way up or all the way down. And it does have a lock-in nut right here to kind of keep it in place and keep it stable. Also on top of the unit, you have these 2 adjustable heads. And how this works is that it has 3 basic modes that it goes through. So you can adjust both of them and then you can tilt it that way. And what that does, when you have it straight, you'll get a continuous pass mode. So the camera will just pass by whatever object you're filming. So when you lock it in this way, it will do a pan, and lock it in the other way, it will do a parallax. The pan will take a wide view of the scene that you're filming, so corner to corner. The parallax will focus on one object, but it will be moving, and it does make for a very cool effect. So you do have various degrees of adjustment. So depending how much you want it to actually pan or you want the parallax shot, you can adjust it and lock it in where you want to. Of course, you have your 1/4-20, and you do have the bigger adjustment for whatever camera or whatever rig you're using. On the front, you do have a lock, so if you guys just want to lock the motor in place, you can go ahead and do so. So on the motor itself, of course, we have the power button. We also have a micro USB spot, and this is for your power bank. So you can either use one of the NP batteries in here, or you can use a power bank to power it when you're on the go. Up top is going to be your shutter controls. So this is where you plug in the adapter that came with this unit, and then you can connect it to your camera, and that will control the shutter when you're doing a time lapse. So let's get it powered up and check out the application. So like I said, you can use a power bank like this. Simply plug it in, and then you should be able to power it on. You can see it does have power right there. Turn it back off. But it just depends on what you're doing. We also have the MP batteries that I was referring to. These are pretty cheap. You can get them on Amazon. These are 2 different sizes, obviously. So for this, I am going to test it with a smaller version. So let's go ahead and we'll plug it in. So let's go ahead and we'll install the battery. And we're going to go ahead and launch the application. All right, so first thing we're going to do is power the device on. And now we're going to go to our Bluetooth search. We do have language and length. So if we click on length, we have inch, or we have millimeters. Let's go to inch. Language is going to be English. Look like we have Chinese and some other language I'm not familiar with. But let's go ahead and we're going to go to Bluetooth search. You can see the green LED is flashing. On the phone, it did find the KMS slider. We'll go ahead and select it, and it is now connected. So first thing you want to do when you power up this device, guys, before you can do anything in the settings, you want to go ahead and set point A and point B. So let's do that, then we'll come back to the different settings. So simply click the button. It is going to slide all the way to the left or the right, depending which one you click. And you want to just leave it close towards the end is where I normally set it. Once I do that, I'll just set A, click OK, and you can see A is now highlighted. Now I'm going to slide all the way back to the right, and I'm setting my point B. So depends how far or how much scrolling you need. It's going to depend on how far you set this. I normally set it all the way, and then I can work in between the 2 extremes. So point B, we're going to set point B, click OK, and now you can see the total distance is 16.2 inches. So first thing up top, we're going to have our battery setting. So you can see the current battery is 95%. And to the right, we're going to have our pin head. Now, our pin head is an additional accessory you can purchase on this. It's not included in this package, so it's not going to show a battery, and it does use a separate battery there as well. If you hit the plus, you're going to have the option of pair, you're going to have Bluetooth. Now, scrolling down, it gives you your distance and it gives you your navigation. Pretty self-explanatory. Now down at the bottom is where you're going to have your different settings. So first is going to be your video mode. So if you click on that, it is going to show you the distance as well as how long it actually takes for it to travel. The duration right now is 16 seconds from point A to point B. Now the loop mode, if you turn that on, if you have it on continuous, what it will do, it will go from point A, slows down and go to point B until you stop it again. So loop just has it going over and over. So the ramp mode is also very important. What that does is slows the motor down when it gets towards point A or point B, slows it down, and then goes to the next direction, slows it down. If the ramp is not on, it will go to the end and it will start grinding, and you don't want that. We can add multi-shot motion. So if you click on that, it gives you different options. So you can set point A, set point B, and these are settings that you can change, and it just depends on which shots you want, guys. So it gives you the duration, loop, as well as which direction you're traveling. So I'm going to go to point A to B, and you can see the motor will start moving. So it went to the starting point. Now if I hit the play button, it should start going point A to B, and just keep going continuously on a loop until I stop it. Just like that. And let's say we wanted to go a little bit slower. So what we'll do is we'll hit the seconds, or can go to minutes or hours if you need to. Some people like that super slow pan. Maybe you're doing an interview or something like that. You don't want to go and swooping back and forth, so you can go ahead and slow it down. So let's go ahead and we'll just double it up. Let's go to, let's say 32 seconds. So it should take twice as fast to get from point A to B. And of course, it's going to go back and forth on a loop. So let's go ahead and try that. And you can see how slow it's going. I'll probably speed this up a little bit just to not waste any time. Notice that the timer is counting down, so 17, 16, 15. So you have an idea how long it's going to take before it gets to point B. All right, you see it got there, slowed down, and started all over again. for me, that's probably the area I'm gonna stick with for the most part. Next, we're gonna have our time lapse, and if you guys ever seen a time lapse video, what it does, it essentially moves from point to point, taking a lot of photos at slow intervals, and when it's played at normal speed, it gives you a very cool effect. And I'll go ahead and demo that here, but let's go over some of the settings first. So settings up top, you do have the option to set how fast the pictures will take in. So right now it's at 1 second, but if you click on it, you can set it to 12 seconds, however slow you want your time lapse to be. You also have the duration, your intervals, your frames, so how many frames are being taken, your frames per second, as well as your delays. So a lot of different options that you can play with until you get the effect that you're looking for. Also, remember for the time lapse, you are going to need this cable to control your camera, guys. So basically, it's just sending a signal from the unit to the camera, just telling it when to take those pictures. So definitely keep that in mind. And I do believe you have to let Konova know which camera you have just to make sure it is compatible with your device at time of purchase. So next we have our 360 mode. That works with the pan head that we spoke about a little bit earlier. Like I said, that's not included. That's an additional accessory that you will have to purchase, guys. Keep that in mind. Last but not least is going to be your manual mode. Manual mode is going to be another area that I play with a lot. So manual mode, as you're looking at it now, to the left, you're going to have your control for the left to right movement. To the right is going to be your controls for your pan head, which is not included again, but pretty cool is that you can just move this at will, guys. So I'm pressing to the left, it's moving to the left, to the right, to the right. You do have the speed control, so if you want to turn it down, have it move a little bit slower, you can go ahead and do so. So let's go ahead and drop it to 50%. And you can see, guys, it's going a lot slower. So let's go ahead and test out the different modes. So the first one is going to be the tracking shot. For the tracking shot, you want to line up the bar in the middle of your slider to be on 0. So this is going to give you a straight shot. And how this will work is once you have it lined up, you select your mode. You can either do continuous loop or ramp, or you can do a manual mode, and then you'll get this effect. Next, we're going to have our panoramic shot. For the panoramic shot, on the left side, you want to lean it forward. On the right side, you want to lean it towards the back. Depending on how wide you want this pan to be, you can push it all the way, or you can kind of gauge in between. Like I said, it all depends on your shot, and this is the results. And last but not least, and probably my favorite shot of this, is going to be the parallax. Now parallax, you want to kind of measure it out a little bit, guys. You angle the camera to where it's facing your subject, and when it goes by, the subject will always remain in frame while the background will give you an effect like it's moving behind you. So this can be applicable in a lot of different shots. I use it a lot in my product reviews, but this is a very cool looking shot in my opinion. Now the fourth mode is going to be your time lapse. And for the time lapse, you do have a lot of different settings. You have exposure, you have your different intervals. So definitely play with it, see what works best for you guys. Once you start, it'll start taking photos by itself. And here's the results. Now obviously this is not a great environment for the time lapse. I do feel like with a time lapse, you want to be outside, maybe with clouds or moving traffic or something like that, where you get a nice effect and it actually shows you what's happening as far as clouds moving and stuff like that. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that this slider does have a lot of different mounts on the bottom, so you can mount this to your tripod. Now for me, I went ahead and got 2 support beams that actually fits right on my tripod, so it will need that extra support, especially with your camera on top. So definitely recommend picking those up if you're looking to put this on a tripod. If you're not and you're just looking to put it on a desk, this will still work for you. Another big shout out to Konova for sending this out for me to review. I will leave all the links in the description where you can go ahead and pick it up. Also leave the tripods with some cameras, different batteries, and everything you need to make this work properly. As always, if you have any questions, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.